For the next round of questions, I'd like to begin with John Williams. And the question is, lots of politicians talk about economic development broadly, but fail to offer specific vision for achieving growth. Can you outline specific plans you have that will drive the economic development or job creation?
Thank you. I do have specific plans, but one thing, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to speak about the issue broadly. Specifically in West Virginia, how might we make this a more attractive place for a business to be? It's not RFRA. It's not an English language bill. It is equal housing for the LGBTQ community. It is recognizing members of the LGBTQ community as a recognized group. We need to be progressive, be someplace where where a company knows that I can get employees to move to the state. I can be successful in my recruiting efforts. That's task number one. When speaking in specifics, something that I'd like to do would be to give a tax incentive to companies who bring their business to West Virginia, with the one catch being we will use already existing environmental footprint metrics that the company must meet in order to qualify. I want to incentivize clean business in West Virginia, technological companies, clean manufacturing, things that we can be proud of, the jobs that we provide for West Virginians, but also be proud of the environmental impact in which we create. Thank you.
So I believe that we can lower taxes as much as possible. However, if the labor supply is not here, businesses will not come. And one way to address that is to, as many of my fellow peers have said, is to bring broadband to the state. Broadband can increase a business's clientele if you are in a brick and mortar store. With the advent of telehealth, we can improve healthcare across the rural parts of the state and allow people to receive healthcare from their homes. And we can invest in our youth and work to close the homework gap, because education is one of the most important things to invest in, and allowing our kids the tools necessary to achieve their maximum education output will certainly help to move the state forward.
I think we're very fortunate to live in Morgantown because we have an economic job-creating engine here, which is the university. And to get good people to come to the university, we have to make sure that they're paid well, and we have to make sure that their insurance and retirement is up to date. And one of the things that didn't happen in the legislature was fixing the Public Employees Insurance Agency so that people who are employed by the state are not faced with higher premiums and less health care and retirement. That also goes for the school district. I'm a great fan of public schools, being myself a retiree from a public school district and having a sister, a mother, and a grandfather who were school teachers. So I'm very much in favor of public schools, but you need to have them and pay the teachers well, because to have a university that works, people have to have a place where their children will go to school. And they're not going to put up with crappy schools. They'll go somewhere else. And I think that as far as the rest of the state, I don't know that much about it, but I do know that there's big changes. That to have a little tiny town with one coal mine and maybe 50 people who work there, that's not going to be very viable going into the future. And I think we have to find ways to help those people, to either employ them as the federal government wants to do, to clean up some of the mess from the mines, or to find some new business that could go there. I think as far as Morgantown goes, we have to just support what's already here.
I'm going to expand on that a little bit, and I think that we really need to start looking at the future of solar power. We have the opportunity in West Virginia to bring solar power, which is very clean, into our state. Many of us live on the top of the hillside, and many of us could put windmills up, solar panels on our homes. Living out in the country like I do, I have 100 acres that we could probably put 25 of those big windmills and be able to light up our entire community. So we need to think outside the box, and we need to start bringing high-tech solutions to West Virginia. And I think that solar energy, training for people into the next century on new technologies that are available is the number one thing that we need to do in order to make that happen.
I think that there are two things that we can do, and once again, it's going to involve, at least one of them is, well, they probably both involve money. But I think investing in education and training is key. And one of the things that I don't hear talked about very often is healthcare. One of the wonderful things that happened as a result of the Affordable Care Act is we have $638 million with an M dollars coming into our state every year for healthcare because of the Affordable Care Act. And we have people that need nurses, need doctors, need occupational therapists, need physical therapists, and those could be our people. We could be training people. We could be retraining people who are into new jobs. And I guess I'm going into the next area, but it seems to me that coal miners who are on a mine safety team or who have been a medic in Vietnam or in Iraq, that would be something we should be thinking about. Even though it's non-traditional, it might be a good field for people to think about going into. The other thing is, I don't think we should be thinking so much about somebody coming in here and rescuing us. We need to support our small businesses because that's where ideas happen and grow. And we've got a lot of creative, resourceful people in West Virginia, and I don't think a lot of times they know about the resources, and that's in part because we don't publicize them. They may need help with, like our law school, we have a clinic for entrepreneurs. They may need help with patents, and so they don't get ripped off. So I think there is a lot more that we can do for small businesses, and I would support doing that.
I was at a conference at WVU a couple weeks ago, and Senator Rockefeller was speaking about how Toyota came to West Virginia, and he tells a story about how his family had personal connections with the president of Toyota, and that's basically how they got here through his efforts. And I bring that up just to contrast it with how most jobs are going to come to West Virginia. Most of us don't have personal connections with corporate leaders in other countries, and what we're going to have to do is similar to what I did. I created a small business, 12 jobs from scratch. It takes a good idea. It takes a lot of work. It takes persistence and problem solving. And like Barbara said, there are things that the state government can do to support entrepreneurs and to make it more possible that you'll succeed. One thing that's not going to work is to just keep cutting the state budget and funding the local governments less and less. That's just going to dig a deeper and deeper hole. We need to make smart investments, and smart investments pay off over time. And they're the types of investments that we've talked about a lot already today. It's investing in infrastructure. It's investing in public education so we have a trained workforce. It's investing in programs to reduce the impacts of the drug epidemic. And it's investments in quality of life so that businesses want to locate here because that's one of the major factors that corporate leaders look for. If they're going to be bringing people into work, hiring people in a location, they want to know that they have good parks and good schools and a vibrant arts community. They want to know that there's going to be things for people to do after work to have fun and enrich their lives. So all of those things are very important in terms of creating jobs.
You haven't spoken yet.
Okay. I like what's being said about nurturing local business, especially by Evan and what Don Gallen has done here in Morgantown. One thing that always seems to come up when we talk about the attracting a new business or at the industrial level is tax incentives, and we're pretty poor right now, and I'm not sure we can have a lot of tax incentives to pass around. But the Gateway Computer Company, years ago, located in South Dakota, and that's about as far as far away from anything that you can get. And West Virginia seems to be better situated than South Dakota in the center of these industrial markets. But that being said, the road to economic development begins with roads. And of course, West Virginia needs to stop neglecting its infrastructure. The major companies are not going to locate in the state with a poor transportation system or poor schools that repeal their educational legislature that repeals its educational standards for math and science and passes unsafe gun freedom laws and passes freedom to discriminate laws and some and then things of that nature that are going on in Charleston this past session. But the one thing that I would advocate perhaps would be vacant land is something that the state might be able to do is to develop an inventory of vacant land that the state owns that's not suitable for parks or recreation or any other type of development and offer that to companies who would be willing to locate it. Is that right, Carter?
Government can facilitate, but government can also deter. We saw the RFRA bill legalize hatred, legalize discrimination, almost came to West Virginia. We see what's going on in North Carolina and Georgia. People running for the hills. Not running for our hills, but if we elect thoughtful, free-thinking people, there's quite a few of them up here, we can create a better environment for our small businesses. One thing I'd like to propose is a payroll tax credit, looking at what the living wage is, what the living wage would be in West Virginia, and go to our local businesses and our West Virginia-owned businesses and offer them a tax credit to bring wages up to a living wage level, allowing them to be competitive when they hire with these big corporations, and also allowing their employees to invest the money that they make back into the local economy. We can't do this, like Rodney said, without improving our educational standards. Like Barbara said, training our workforce. People have to want to come here. We can't make them come here. West Virginia is beautiful, but what this current legislature has done to it has not made it so attractive. Economic growth starts with people wanting to be here and to come into our borders. We're the only state losing population. So we have to improve our roads, improve our education before we can ever worry about who's coming here. They have to want to come here.